Welcome, Alex here. This is the part 1 of the huge video about Ricoh GR-3 accessories. This one is going to be focused on filters and adapters, power and light. But first, big disclaimer here. You don't need any of these accessories to make your pictures better, okay? You can use GR as it is and it's still a wonderful camera. It's just I want to share my experience with all of the accessories I tried over the years, and there's a lot of them. So let's jump straight to it. Okay, so the first accessory is gonna be the Ricoh GA-1. This is the universal adapter that you use to mount all kinds of 49mm filters and accessories on your GR-3. It also has the contacts on the back, which communicates with the camera and tells that the wide angle converter is attached, if it is attached with this ring. Because you could also use this separately, just as a ring, to attach some filters, protect from the elements, or you can use polarizers, diffusion filters, and whatever you decide to use. This is the original one, made of plastic, but it sits really well because it has a release button on it. Yep, just like that. So it snaps in place, and to take it off, you gotta, release the button here. You have to buy it separately, and it's pretty expensive, I would say, for what it is. So here's another solution for it. This is the one made by JJC. Okay, so this one is called JJC AR-GRIII. There is one also made for GR3X. Does exactly the same thing. This one made of metal. Okay, this one doesn't have any release mechanism on it. So you could possibly lose because it snaps in place, but it is also easily released from the camera with the little twist, which is not ideal if you're using it with some heavier accessories, or I don't know, you're really fidgety with your hands. You could, take this off without realizing it. So also not ideal, but a lot cheaper. There's also one made by, I believe, another Chinese company called Nisi or Nisi. That one has a little bit of a different shape. Sometimes it's even cheaper than this one. The next one is another Ricoh original accessory, GW-4. And this thing is huge, okay? Considering for like what it is and what it does, this thing, well, it's heavy, but it effectively makes your Ricoh GR-3 kind of like GR-21 in film days. This thing is heavy. This thing also has really bulbous front element, and that is something that, could be easily scratched or bumped or nicked or whatever. And another annoyance is that they sell it separately, okay? So if you want to attach it to the camera, you gotta buy one of the GA-1s so the camera can communicate with this thing and tell that there's a wide conversion lens is attached to the camera. You can kind of see all of this pretty funny and simple mechanism inside here of the GA-1. That kind of tells the camera that this thing is attached. So you just screw on the GA-1 to GW-4, those are the names, and then you snap it onto the camera with a click. The camera is going to show you wide designation on the screen, and that means all of your JPEG is going to be corrected for distortion, and they're going to be wider, obviously. Which is kind of interesting because this one doesn't crop anything like unlike the one for the GR3X. That one is gonna crop the picture even more without letting you choose whether you want to crop or not, which I find kind of annoying. But this one doesn't do that. Also, this thing comes with the floppy lens hood, which is kind of weird for this amount of money. And also this thing covered with dust like crazy. This thing just draws dust like it's a magnet for it. I don't know. And the weird way to attach it is like, I mean, it does the job and kind of protects the lens from flaring, which this thing flares, I don't want to say like crazy, but this thing definitely flares. A downside, well, and it's heavy. So those are the things to consider when you're buying this. But this thing makes it 21 and gives you like that cool distorted look, which Ricoh technically doesn't have built in. Okay, so the next thing is this metal square hood from Pentacon. Okay, this is nothing special. I wanted to buy a square hood for Ricoh, but unfortunately they don't send to Ukraine, so well, I guess not this time. This one covered in some kind of a old school texture. Well, it does the job. It's kind of deep, and when you attach it to something like this JGC adapter, which I tend to carry on it all the time, it protects Ricoh from the rain pretty well, and the snow. Nothing goes in. If it does, it always stays on the rim here, which is kind of interesting. It has like a rubber gasket around it, which allows you to tighten it or position it the way you want it, so it's not crooked. I don't really remember where I got this one. I think I got it off of a flea market or something. So this was, you know, easy buy. Next thing is probably the one thing that I got the most amount of questions in my DMs on Insta, and also a bunch of people asked in the YouTube comments. A protective filter kind of sticks to your lens, to the front of the lens. And this one is kind of controversial because a bunch of people were saying that this one degrades the image quality, this one is really difficult to take off, and you don't need that, and all of that stuff, you know, because the dust topic is really sensitive for the GR users. So yeah, I hope I will not open the portal to hell with this. So this thing is made by a couple of Chinese companies. Before there was only one, and it's, you know, bear with me here, those names are weird. Direcin, I don't know. So this one is tailored well for the GR. The same goes for GR3X and GR3. I think it also fits some Sony RX100s or something like that. So this one now is also made by the newer company. It's exactly the same. Maybe the coating is a bit of a different color. Mine is green, and it doesn't do anything except for like protecting the camera from like some scratches on the front and like dust. So yeah, this is nothing special, but I like to use it, and so far it's been okay. The problem that people have with taking them off is usually connected to they don't know how to do it properly. So the way to do it, you have to get some fishing line, really thin one, that goes in between this and the camera lens. And then you warm it up, like you warm up the filter itself on the camera with the fan or hair dryer if you don't have like a, you know, special fan. And then you just slice it off with the fishing line. I've changed 2 of these throughout the years because they got kind of scratched up, and you know, and that was easy. That was super easy. Like, I don't know why people are complaining, just find a way to do it. And while we're on the filters, let's take a look at another one that I use, K&F Nano K series, UV HMC 72 millimeters. Okay, and this one is kind of cheap. Okay, but I use it only for one reason, to protect the GW-4, because this bulbous front element, dude, it's so easily scratched, I think, that I just don't want to risk it. So yeah, this one goes on GW-4 and it stays there, and I don't use the lens cap with it, so I can be fast with this thing. Just pull it out, snap it on the camera, take a shot, take it off, you know, that kind of shooting scenario. And next it's the filter for the GR3. When I use it with the GA-1 or JJC thing, it's the polarizer. So this is also nothing new. Every photographer probably had this in their life at least once. This one is made by Kenko, Zeta wideband CPL W 49 millimeters, made in Japan. Okay, so this one is like coated, so the water just comes off of it. It's real easy. Don't quote me on that, I don't really remember that. But this one I have for a long time. This one I've been using on the X100s for ages now, and it just, you know, does the job and is pretty good quality. So next filter is kind of a weird one, but I like that weird stuff, and I got these long time ago, so I tend to stick with them. There's no point of like selling them, they don't cost anything, and I got these before I got the GR, so it kind of makes sense to, you know, try and experiment with these. So this one is a Hoya 49 millimeters CS, also made in Japan. And this one is a specialty filter. You're gonna use it once, and then you're gonna put it in the box, and then you're gonna forget about it, okay? So this is star filter, if you wish to call it that way. It gives you those cool stars even when your aperture is wide open, which could be cool at some point, but it's definitely not the one to put on the camera and you know, forget there. This one is, you know, just specialty. I'll try to show you some examples here, how it looks like when you put it on the camera. The next one is another specialty. So this one is B+W 49 ES Soft Image. This one I also got a long time ago, and probably used it maybe 3 times for the whole time. But for Ricoh, it kind of makes sense if you want to shoot portraits with your Ricoh and you feel like the picture is just too sharp, okay? Because Ricoh tend to do that, like the lens is crazy sharp. So you kind of want to diffuse it a little bit. In this case, it's a soft image filter. So it doesn't do what the Black Pro Mist or Cinebloom does. It just softens all the image across the frame. So if that's something you want to experiment with, go ahead. There's a bunch of these, also made by a bunch of like Chinese companies, a bunch of old school ones you can find that people used with film. I don't really recommend use stuff here because this is just the stuff I use, and it's not necessary to, you know, for you to buy it. I usually carry these with me, even if I don't plan to use them. Just have them in my bag because they're pretty light. So the way I store them, and this is the next item in the list, and this is, I don't even know how to call it properly, a screw-in filter holder, if you will. It looks like 2 metal caps with threads, okay, and one goes on the bottom of your tower, filter tower, okay, just like that, and the second one goes on top and protects the glass from both sides, and then you can just you know, drop it in the bag, and don't be afraid that you're gonna scratch it, and you don't have to carry boxes for all the filters with you, you know, or buy a pouch and walk around with the pouch like you're a, I don't know, landscape photographer or whatever. So this is pretty convenient, and for these small filters I think it's pretty cute. And the last thing in the list, which I use literally all the time, it just stays on the camera like most of the time when I don't use it, it's the metal lens cap. It's not made by Ricoh, even though it says GR on the front. It is just another third party made this one. This one has like a felt material on the inside, so it's not gonna scratch the filter even if you have it on the lens. And it's not gonna scratch the camera and your rings, the colorful rings on the camera. This one attaches pretty easily on the camera and stays there. It's pretty tight. Yeah, and it also kind of collects dust on it. So from time to time, I just use you know, like a wet wipe and just wipe all the dust from it. But at least it doesn't go into the lens. So that's the benefit of it. And I use it all the time, especially when I put the camera in the pocket. I just put this lid on, and so far, the dust gods were really good to me, and I have no dust on the sensor after 3 years of use of my GR3, which is wonderful. So I don't have to deal with that stuff. And I believe this is a big reason, this cap is the big reason why it's still clean. So yeah, definitely a must-have when you, even if you are not going to, you know, use it all the time, at least when you're transporting your camera, I suggest you just put this thing on. And then you go out on the location, take it off, put in your pocket, shoot, you know, put it back and put in your pocket. 1 second, but it's gonna save you a lot of trouble in future. So yeah, I use that. Power is something that Ricoh lacks. Okay, let's be honest here. You can kind of understand it because the camera is tiny, so the battery cannot be big. So the solution is simple, just carrying more batteries, right? And that's what I did. I literally have 4 of them. So 2 original ones that came with my camera because it's a limited kit. These are fine, I would say. These give me around, I would say, 220-ish shots, depends on how much I'm chimping after I'm taking pictures, or did I turn off the screen while I was shooting and shooting only with the viewfinder and stuff like that. So you cannot go wrong with these, but these are, I would say it's kind of expensive for what it is. Like, what is it? Around like 50 bucks for one? I don't know. I feel like batteries is something that they just earn money on. Probably accessories in general. So yeah, I got 2 more, and these 2 are not official. Okay, so these are just some made for Olympus. Kind of says it on the front, if you can see it. Kind of says for the Olympus, and they hit it with the sticker. These are a bit worse than the original ones, but these are so far, these 2 are so far the best I've tried. I've tried some other ones, like no-name brands, and they are so light. You can literally tell they're, you know, different weight. These I checked on the scales, and at least they're not far away from the original weight, like a couple grams off. So I would say it's fine. These would give me like 200 shots flat, okay, if I'm not chimping. Probably 180 if I'm gonna be just looking all the time at the screen and like, oh, did I get it? Did I get it? So yeah, these are decent, I'll say. So I have 4, but I rarely use that many. I use 2, and the third one if I go for like a really long stroll, like for the whole day walk around the city, and then I may be gonna use the third one. I take 2 of the third-party ones, then I definitely need to have the third original one with me because I will definitely use it on that day. You know, I just have 2 originals and that's gonna be fine for the whole day. Next thing, I need to charge those, right? So the original charger that comes with Ricoh GR3, it's a basic plug into the wall USB cable type of thing, like for your phone, which I'm not a big fan of. But it's still better than nothing in the box, like, I don't know, like the phones these days. I bought the other one, and this have 2 slots. This one, 2 slots for the batteries, obviously, on the front, and 2 slots for different cables. So has Type-C, which I use all the time, and also the older micro USB, which you can use in a pinch if you're in a place where they don't have Type-C for some reason, or you know, in the cafes they have those multi-cables and you can, you know, charge one device like your phone with Type-C, but then you also need to charge the batteries. You can use the micro USB one, you know, like, so yeah, this thing has been great. And since I have 4 batteries, so I can charge them 2 by 2, and it's not gonna take me, you know, a long time to like charge them 1 by 1 in camera and whatever. There is also another one. That one has even more. That one has 3 slots on the front, and has a built-in USB cable on the side like this. And there's also another one made by Ricoh. That one is super tiny, but that one is made for 1 battery only. Also uses Type-C, I believe. BJ11, whatever. Like Ricoh, come on, man. Like that's a weird ass name. I also saw the startup by some guy online. He prints like a tiny little cases for 2 batteries in it on a 3D printer. And you can also charge it with Type-C. It's super tiny, and you can carry them in this case, and you can also charge them in this case. Like, they're super small. Okay, next. Light. This thing. You've seen this before. It's probably became a lot more popular these days. I've seen a bunch of street photographers use this one. This is Lightpix Flash Q Q20 version 2. Okay, this is a simple manual flash. This is not a TTL, which they do have for Fuji, and I think Sony as well. But this one is made for Ricoh, and this one doesn't have TTL, which I don't care, because on 28 and like whatever. So this one has a tilting head. You can tilt it completely up. This one also has the power control, you know, and output levels from 1:1 to 164, which is pretty good because this is a leaf shutter camera, so it doesn't take that much power. And it also has the built-in LED light. Yeah, just like that, like a video light or whatever. I don't know if you're gonna use this, but it's cool that it's there. I use it all the time with multiple cameras. Actually, I bought it for my X100F long time ago. I believe this is like one of the first batches. The font on the front is still, you know, the original. I think the later models came with like italic, but yeah, this one is cool. Works from 2 AA batteries, or I use it with like rechargeable ones. I use Eneloop, and those were great. You can use them for years, literally, like, and it's still gonna be fine. So the cool thing about this flash, it has a built-in or detachable transmitter on which you can also control the output level. Which is super cool because this transmitter is super tiny, and on Ricoh it looks really good because it's not super clunky or big and whatnot. It also has the thread on the bottom, this flash, so you can you know, put it on a light stand or like a GorillaPod or something if you're in a pinch. So that's pretty cool. Also has the micro USB. I don't know, it's kind of annoying, but I mean, there's no better option. Maybe later in new model, they're gonna put the Type-C in it. Micro USB, that's probably one of the last devices I have with the micro USB. But you can use micro USB to charge the little battery here in the transmitter. It doesn't take a long time to charge, but it holds the charge for a really long time. So it's pretty good. And you can also use, if you're using rechargeable batteries, you can also charge the flash with the micro USB. You don't have to like carry a separate charger for your rechargeable batteries inside of it, which is also, I would say, convenient. If you're on the go, you don't have to carry a bunch of chargers with you. Just use, well, but you have to use the micro USB cable. So, well, I guess that's the downside. The rest has been great. easy to use, super portable, and I think the only smaller option for Ricoh is the Reflex Lab, which they just came out not a long time ago when I'm recording this. So that thing is pretty cool, but I mean, I already got this one, so I'm just gonna use this. Also, you can control power more with this and tilt the head, and it's just convenient, but kind of overpriced for what it is, honestly. Next is something super unconventional for Ricoh. It's this thing. Okay, this is Godox X2T, made for Pentax, which P stands for on it. Okay, I bought it not a long time ago. It's kind of huge, okay? It's really big for what it is. On Ricoh, it kind of looks silly, but it does the job. It triggers the flash, and mine's been somewhat consistent with it. So yeah, I bought it to use as a trigger for a bigger flash when I try to do some like a tabletop photography for like items for sale or like whatever, or maybe even portraits if I'm in a pinch. Like 28 mil, kind of ridiculous though for the Ricoh. I wish they made something smaller, but that small Godox Nano, whatever, that thing, they stopped making it for Pentax, which is kind of a, it would be a perfect match for a Ricoh. GR3X, you can, you know, shoot some portraits with strobes, it would be cool, but they don't make those, unfortunately. Yeah, you can also buy the X Pro, like Godox X Pro model. This is the one I have for Fuji, so they're like interchangeable. Like I use this one for Fuji, this one for Pentax, Ricoh, you know, one for every system, and just like switch them up when I need to, but still use my light and don't change the whole setup. I like this one, and this one was on sale, so I got this just to try. It seems like it's okay for what it is. The next item on the list, it's the Godox V1, and this is also the Fuji version. I bought it long time before I even had the GR3. So I used this with my Fuji cameras, and so far it's been great. Super powerful. I really like the round head, and it comes with a bunch of accessories like this, like a dome diffusion. It's magnetic, pretty cool. There's also a bunch of like snoots and colorful filters that you can stack as well with the magnets. Pretty cool. Those are some light balancing ones. There's also like another diffusion. There's also a grid, you know, even the flag, you know, for the strobing things, and even the barn doors. Like they even give you the freaking barn doors with this thing. I used it maybe once or twice. That kit, when I bought it, it was relatively inexpensive for what it is, and it uses the lithium battery inside of it, so it lasts for a really long time. The battery is huge, and they updated the firmware a couple of times, so yeah, it's pretty stable. I like it. A couple of these and you can pretty much shoot some gig with it.